In the world of big business, there are failures, and then there are spectacular, crash-and-burn, billion-dollar failures. We're going to talk about one of the biggest, Target's attempt to take over Canada. It's an incredible story of huge ambition and a massive gamble that just completely blew up in under 2 years. Let's break down how it all went so wrong. Just start with this number, $2 billion. That is the operating loss Target racked up in Canada in less than 2 years. I mean, how does a retail giant, a company famous for its logistics, for its brand, how did they fail that badly, that quickly? Well, that's the puzzle we're going to put together today. To really understand how it all fell apart, you first have to see why, on paper, the plan looked absolutely flawless. Our story starts back in 2011, when Target decided to look north for its next big move. So here's the situation. Target was a beast in the United States, but it was kind of hitting a wall. The US market was just full. There wasn't much room left to grow. So the big question in the boardroom was, where do we go next? And the answer seemed like a total no-brainer. Canada. It felt low risk, the culture was similar, and, hey, tons of Canadians already knew and loved the brand from shopping trips across the border. Seemed perfect, right? And they didn't just dip a toe in the water. No, Target did a full-on cannonball. They dropped almost $2 billion to buy up all these store leases from a struggling Canadian chain called Zellers. And the idea was actually kind of brilliant in how aggressive it was. Instead of a slow store-by-store rollout that would take years, they'd have this massive, nationwide presence from day one, an instant footprint. That massive real estate deal really set the tone for everything that came next. It all boiled down to one single thing: speed. I mean, think about it. When you've already spent billions on a bunch of empty stores, the pressure to get those doors open and start making money is just enormous. And that pressure, it shaped every single decision from that point on. They actually called it the Big Bang Launch, an absolutely unprecedented plan to open 124 stores in just 1 year. Can you even imagine the logistics of that? You're hiring thousands of people, you're stocking millions of products, and you're launching a national brand all at the exact same time. The timeline was everything. So to pull this off, they decided to build a totally new Canadian operation right from scratch. And listen, this is the absolute key point. They chose to use a brand new, completely untested supply chain software system. It was different from the rock-solid one that worked so well for them in the US. Now, a project like this usually takes, 3 to 5 years. They gave themselves 2. So it's probably not a surprise that when you try to build a super complex machine at warp speed, the foundation starts to crack. And those cracks, they started showing up long before a single customer ever walked in. The data tells the whole story. You see, Canadians were genuinely excited. They were promised that classic US Target experience we all know. Cool stuff, great prices, full aisles. But behind the scenes, a completely different reality was taking shape. The supply chain was a mess, prices were actually looking higher than in the US, and that dream of fully stocked shelves, well, it was starting to look like a fantasy. Okay, this right here, this gets to the absolute heart of the problem. Target's proven US system had inventory data that was almost perfect. We're talking 98% accurate. The brand new Canadian system they built, it was right only 30% of the time. This wasn't just some minor glitch, you guys. This was a complete, fundamental breakdown of the most basic thing a retailer needs to know. So what does 30% accuracy actually mean? It means the system had no idea what stuff it had or where it was. You've got 75,000 different products being jammed into this new system under crazy deadlines, and basic mistakes were everywhere. For example, an item's length might get entered as its width. The result, the system thinks a tiny little box is a giant piece of furniture so it won't fit on a truck. Or it thinks a huge item is tiny and orders way too many. The whole system was just broken. This led to this unbelievable, head-scratching situation. The products were actually in the country. They were piling up to the ceilings inside these 3 giant, brand new distribution centers. But because the data was garbage, the system had no clue how to get the products onto trucks and into the right stores. So you had warehouses that were literally overflowing, while the shelves in the stores were completely bare. So that brings us to late 2012. The big launch is just a few months away. All the red flags are flying, impossible to ignore. The leadership team is in a boardroom, and they are facing a ridiculously high-stakes choice. And here was the dilemma, the rock and a hard place. Option 1, you slam on the brakes, postpone the grand opening, take the time to fix the broken supply chain, and get it right. The huge downside? You're burning through millions of dollars a month paying rent on 124 empty buildings. Then there's option 2, full steam ahead. Launch as planned, start generating that cash flow you desperately need, and just try to fix the catastrophic problems while the plane is in midair. The massive risk? You could destroy your brand's reputation from day one. They had to make a call, and they chose option 2. The decision was made that the financial pressure to start making money was more important than the operational risk. Speed was more important than being ready. They decided to launch. And the fallout from that single decision was immediate. And, well, it was devastating. Let's take a look at what happened next, because it all leads back to that one huge question. What would you have done in their shoes? The collapse was shockingly fast. In 2013, the stores open and it's just widespread disappointment. Shoppers walked in and found empty shelves and prices that were higher than they expected. By 2014, the financial bleeding was just out of control. And then, in January 2015, barely 2 years after that big bang launch, Target Canada was shut down. All of it. And the final price tag for this failed invasion? A jaw-dropping $5.4 billion write-down. It was a failure of colossal proportions, and it was all born from that one choice, putting speed ahead of being ready. Which brings us right back to the question at the very heart of this story. I want you to imagine you're in that boardroom. You're looking at the disastrous data. You're also looking at the bills for those empty stores, and they are piling up every single day. So what do? Do you halt a billion-dollar train to fix the broken tracks, knowing you're burning millions? Or do you bet on your team to somehow fix the engine while it's already hurtling down the line at full speed? It's exactly the kind of high-stakes gambles that makes or breaks a company, and there's really no easy answer.